Hey, what's up, gang? Today we'll journey to ancient Rome to build one of the most painfully complex devices yet. It's mostly just a lot of vacuum tubes and wire, but don't let that fool you. Building one from scratch in an empire whose entire personality was concrete and death could drive one's sanity down to argues with pigeons. As you've surmised, we're not building an 85-inch 4K LED smart TV. No. This is one of those times we'll do just enough to get by. It won't have a remote, won't be HD, and it certainly won't be pretty or petite. It'll be the simplest, heaviest, ugliest, and bulkiest piece of technology since itself. This is roughly what we're going for. A black and white cathode ray tube, or CRT TV. Now, if you're a mere average Roman who's never seen a TV and doesn't even know electricity exists, the answer to how long this would take is about 2,000 years. That's why we're sending Fred here back in time. He's an electrical engineer who knows exactly how to build a TV, and even where to find the raw materials for it. Also, Fred is half witch, so he can use spells to make the Romans help out any way he sees fit. Even these very first TVs in the 1930s were complicated pieces of technology, building upon decades, if not centuries, of technological discoveries and advancements. In 1897, J.J. Thomson discovered that cathode rays are just a stream of angry corpuscles. In 1880, Thomas Edison discovered thermionic emission during his light bulb shenanigans. In 1873, James Clerk Maxwell discovered electromagnetism. And all the way back to this guy discovering fire eons ago. Needless to say, going from mechanical motion pictures to electrical ones was a huge advancement. Suddenly, you could have higher resolution, faster frame rates, and most importantly, the ability to magically beam movies through the air like a beautiful enchantress. But even with all those previous advancements, it still took a genius like Philo T. Farnsworth years of fiddling to make a working TV. However, I was shocked to discover that building a TV in ancient Rome would be a little less complicated than I originally thought it'd be. But you still got a circuit board that looks like this, which only looks as complicated to Fred as this does to you. And if you want me to go into detail about all this, you're insane, and I'm a little jealous, but it's not gonna happen. We'll stick to perhaps this much detail. Maybe not even that. My aim is to keep you awake. Here's how a TV works. Take a simple vacuum tube, which is a heater, cathode, and anode inside an airless bulb. The heater heats up the cathode, which gives its electrons the strength to escape like little Alcatraz prisoners. These free electrons are attracted to the anode, and that's a simple vacuum tube, folks. But if you turn the anode into a ring, the electrons will go toward it but fly through the middle and hit the front of the bulb. This is what we call an electron gun. This is good, but not good enough. You can't see the electrons, unless you're this guy. So we need something covering the glass that emits light. Let's make it a little bigger and coat it with a phosphor powder. This stuff absorbs the electron's energy, then re-emits it in the visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum which we can see. Congratulations! You now technically have a working TV, but all it shows is a faint fuzzy dot, so we need to tell the electrons where we want them to go. A magnetic field will disrupt their path, so let's slap some electromagnets around here to deflect the beam up, down, left, and right. By making this beam fly across the screen thousands of times per second, you get a moving image. And that's basically it. That's how a TV works. Just a big fancy vacuum tube with a few more supporting tubes and some electromagnets. So let's see what the Romans already have for Fred to use and what he'll need to invent. He needs a lot of copper. Cavemen with pet dinosaurs invented this stuff. Glass. Rome's wasn't great, but they had it. And they had quartz and potash, so Fred can make some pretty good glass. He needs phosphor powder, which Rome didn't have, but they had zinc ore, sand, and manganese dioxide, which is all you need to make it. Mercury. This had already been around for a coon's age. Calcium oxide. The Romans were already making mountains of this stuff for their concrete. Cow horns. The gods had made these about 40 million years earlier. Iron. This is the Iron Age after all. And finally, a water wheel. They had some pretty complex water wheel machinery already. It appears 1st century Rome has everything Fred needs to make a working TV. Let's get it started. Vacuum tubes are lords of omnipotence that can do anything. If we just let them, they could probably fix world hunger. Let's start here. First thing Fred will do is coat the front inside of the tube with phosphor. To make that, he'll roast some zinc ore, mix that with silica and a pinch of manganese dioxide, heat that up, then crush it into a powder. Boom, phosphor powder. Fred's accomplished more difficult things in his underwear. Next, how do you trap nothing in a bottle? As we know, the Romans had mercury, which is heavier than air and can therefore pull air out of a bottle, so he'll do that. The reason you need a vacuum in there is so the electrons don't get sidetracked running into other molecules like drunk tourists. But he's got to put stuff inside the bulb before he removes the air. Modern CRTs used barium oxide for the cathode. Fred could whip up a little chemistry and make this, but just like every brilliant mind ever, he's staggeringly lazy. Simple iron coated with calcium oxide will also emit electrons. He can make the filament heater and the anode out of iron as well. And now Fred's got his tiny electron sniper rifle.
Pew, pew.
To help focus the beam of electrons, he'll throw an iron cylinder with a slightly more positive voltage than the cathode over the cathode. To power everything, Fred will repurpose an existing Roman water wheel to make a generator with magnets and several different coils of wire. Wire thickness and number of turns on the coils will give Fred the different voltages and currents he needs. And this is where Fred's witchcraft will really come in handy. Creating all the insulated wire will probably be the most boring and time-consuming part of all of this. Luckily, this is before the TV was invented, so people were used to boring. We don't want the TV flickering like a cursed lantern and giving everyone seizures, so Fred will build a rectifier, which is a vacuum diode plus a capacitor. But the mic stuff, how do you make an electromagnet? Why, with even more copper coils, my dreamy pupil. And I'll just tell you right now, we're not also building a TV station or a VCR. That stuff's for another video. Just know that when we're done with this TV, if you had a VCR or a TV station, you'd be able to play them. And how could you possibly make a video receiver? Why, with even more vacuum tubes, silly. A triode amplifier will split the video signal into two paths. Brightness goes to the control grid, and sync path goes to circuits that control the horizontal and vertical sweeps. You get black and white picture by biasing the signal so that the waveform tells it to send more electrons for a brighter part of the screen and less electrons for a darker part. To pull sync pulses out of the video, Fred will subscribe to the mic stuff and hype and like this video and tell everyone he knows about it. But also, to control the horizontal and vertical deflection, he'll need, you guessed it, even more vacuum tubes. One could argue that picture is the better half of a TV, but sound is also nice to have. Fortunately, speakers are super easy to make, just a hunk of iron attached to a membrane with a cow horn. But where does the sound come from? Coils of wire? Vacuum tubes? Yes, plus some more metal plates as a capacitor. This is our demodulator. And finally, anyone will eventually start arguing with pigeons if all they have is endless I Love Lucy reruns to watch, so we'll give them the ability to change the channel. Early TVs only had a few channels, and Fred's not looking to overachieve here, so he'll give them 4 preset channels on a rotary switch. For an antenna to pick up a hypothetical TV station's radio signals, he'll need a bronze rod shaped into a square 30 to 60 centimeters across, with one end attached to the tuner input and the other to the ground. The antenna picks up all frequencies and feeds into a high frequency triode amplifier. And finally, you got your 4 LC circuits tuned to specific frequency so you can select the station you want. And that's it. Just 3 years after arriving in the Roman Empire, Fred's got an adorable, fully functional television set. Perhaps if the Romans had tried stabbing less and studying more, they could have figured out that electrons are even cheaper slaves than slaves.